how long does a certificate of sponsorship take to get? How long will it take from the moment you actually are successful in your interview before you get that letter, the very, very crucial piece of information you need to submit your visa application? In this video, we're going to explain how long it takes. It's going to be a very short one because I've gotten a lot of questions as to how long it will take. Some people have been waiting weeks, months, and it's complicated, but there are two main factors that will play a role in how long your own certificate of sponsorship might actually take for you to get it. So let's go over that in this video. Welcome to Rook's Health. As always, Farouk Bello and the host of the podcast. Let's begin. So there are two factors that play a role in how long your certificate of sponsorship will take. But just keep in mind, there are a lot of other stuff, but these are the main two factors that will actually play a role. Number one is your actual employer, how long they actually take to sort out all the documents. Now, the people who do this is the HR department, as shocker to nobody. Even after whoever does your interview, for example, if I'm going to use my own stuff as an example, physiotherapist, you apply for the job, you get it, you're successful. They ask you the question of, do you need a visa? They will already know this from your application. You say yes, and they're going to have to contact the HR department to actually figure out, can we offer that visa? So some places you'll be successful and they'll say no. But once they say yes, they can. Now, depending on if that HR department is competent in actually doing certificate of sponsorships and are very familiar with the whole recruitment process of internationals, students, international workers, that will strongly determine how quickly they will do it. For example, if they are not very familiar, although on the certificate of sponsorship list, they sponsor, visas, they might not do it that many times for you to think, oh, it might be someone new who is not 100% familiar with that process. And they need to then go and quickly figure out, how do we get it? How many letters can we actually sponsor in a year? All these type of things, as you imagine, it's not going to happen in one day. It's going to take time. And depending on how long it takes for them to figure out actually what to do to start, that's how long you're just going to be waiting for your visa. And that's why it can take weeks. However, some bigger organizations, some bigger trusts, and honestly, it varies, not only NHS sponsor, but they're one of the biggest people who sponsors visas. Now, if they're very competent, they do this thing on a very regular basis, you're going to be fine. They're going to know exactly what to do, how quickly it is. They're going to make that process a lot quicker because they're familiar. They're going to produce that letter for you. Because remember, people often think that it's the Home Office that provides the certificate of sponsorship. It's not the Home Office that provides it. Home Office just allows that company or the body to be able to produce certificate of sponsorship because they have to pay to be able to hire abroad. And there are lots of different criteria they have to meet. I'm not going to get into that for this video. But as long as they are competent, and if they're competent, you can get that letter in a very quick, very short period of time, in a couple of weeks. However, if they are not, that's the biggest factor. And the unfortunate thing is that the only people you're going to be able to hound is going to be the HR department. You're going to only be able to hound, the person who did the interview and asking, you're waiting for your certificate of sponsorship. In my own case, I got the job, which is a Band 5 NHS job, in April. But I had to wait in April, May, I think. But I only got that letter in August, around August. So you can already see, I think it may even be early September, but I think it was late August. So you can already see it's a very long amount of time. And that was the only thing that I was actually waiting for before I could apply. Now, I'm going to do a separate video as what you should be doing in between while you're waiting for this letter, the things you can be doing, which is the second point of contention that we're going to talk about, which is you. Now, when you're waiting for that certificate of sponsorship, the best thing you can be doing is making sure that your other documents are in place, or more importantly, any document that they send over to you to fill, any application process, that you're doing that immediately and sending it back to them. Because these are the type of things that will very much delay your whole application. Because, for example, let's just take a theoretical situation. They send you some documents to fill for that letter or in regards to the whole application process, and you don't send it to them on time. They go and start trying to do the process, and they get to a point where they're still waiting for a document for you. The last thing you want for them is to start asking you back, oh, we still need this document, because that's just going to add a few more days and potentially weeks to your application, because you have to think each HR department has a lot of different things to do. And then hiring international workers is more work than hiring non-international, but international workers are still the best overall. In my opinion, I am obviously biased to this, but you're going to have to do everything in your power to make sure that they're not coming back to you to ask for questions. So you make sure you send out all those documents you need to do. And you have to keep in mind that the only time that they can actually start this whole process of getting that cost letter and verifying all the details and making sure that everything is, tip-top shape is actually for them to know that your application has been completed. And they will only know that if, when whoever is your recruiter, whoever does your interview has actually given them the all clear saying, yeah, they're successful. So there's a little bit of a role you can actually ask, it's going to be natural. You're going to send emails, a lot of emails to HR, to the person who did your interview to say you're still waiting for this letter. So you can hound them a little bit, not too much, because most of the time, any competent structure, as soon as you're successful and they tell you're successful, they've already sent, they should be sending that letter and sending that information to HR to say, these are all the details. This is your pay. This is your home base. Because these are the type of things. You can check out the previous video I did, which kind of explains what you will see on a cost letter. So they have to obviously provide all those details, which specific hospital or where is going to be your ground zero, how much is your salary, do you need this, do you need that, do you need to have dependents, all these type of extra factors, things that they will be providing to HR department. But it's normally a seamless process. But that's the type of thing that can actually take a lot longer than you would actually anticipate. So let's quickly round up on this is that I'm not going to give you any specific number and say it's going to take you 2 weeks. It can take months. But keep in mind, I was applying during the pandemic period where everything was taking a lot longer than it probably should. Now that things have eased up, but although they are still dealing with backlogs of applications that can, from last year as well as from this year as well. Now, international recruitment has gotten a lot easier from a student perspective as well as a worker's perspective. But still, they're going to have to do certain things to speed up that whole process and make those applications come through. So let's just keep in mind that it will take a lot of time, but stay tuned to the next video I do, which will explain what you should be doing within that time that you're waiting for that visa. And again, it can take anywhere from, I'm not going to give specifics because I don't want anyone to hold it to me, but it will take some time. And all you can be doing during that process is sending emails, to be honest. You're going to be sending emails to HR asking them, you're still waiting for your cost letter. And the thing you want to make sure you know is that letter is the last thing you are waiting for to say your application. Because you can do everything else. You can do other things. Fill out the online application for the visa, get all your statements and check. But we'll cover that in the next video as well. Just making sure that you're doing everything and you're waiting. So as soon as you get that letter, you're sending that application off. But I hope that was kind of helpful just to give you the rough perspective of how long it can take. It can take some weeks and can take up to a few months. Mine took a few months, but hopefully you would expect that as things are easing up and things are getting better, this type of process will be easier. Got a lot of questions about this, so stay tuned next video. I'll explain a bit more over there. Take care.